students. This is Michael. This video is going to cover what the expectations are for your final project template for the topic of marriage. So if you look on your Google Classrooms, you'll see that I've posted a link to Google Drive where each student will get their own copy of the template. And so when you open it, you will see something like this. And inside of your template, you should write your name, the topic that you're doing, and this is where you'll put your sources, and you're going to want to put all 5 under either a category of academic journal or books, or 3 articles, newspapers, or just some other category. And I will confirm that these that your citations are 1, formatted correctly, and 2, are appropriate to these categories. So once you have formatted your citations, I would recommend starting on writing your speech here, and ideally we will finish this entire template by Friday. So first things first, let's talk about your sources. All right, so your sources are going to be formatted in MLA format, and I've included this link to a citation machine where you can plug in all of the pieces of information you know about your source, and it will automatically generate a properly formatted MLA citation. So some of the citations that you might find on Wikipedia may not be in MLA, so you're going to need to double check that some of your citations that you gather are in fact in MLA. And you can do that by plugging in all the pieces of information from a citation you found perhaps on Wikipedia into the MLA citation machine under the correct category, whether it's a book, whether it's a journal, whether it's a online article. There are plenty of categories, and they all have different citation orders. So let's dive into my hypothetical topic of same-sex marriage in the United States. So I'm going to go to a Wikipedia article, and I find that Wikipedia is a good source to provide an overview of maybe a very complex topic, and it'll give you kind of a table of contents, and this table of contents will be useful in thinking about all the ways you can frame your marriage topic. So there are many, many different ways you can talk about your topic in your speech, and I would recommend maybe presenting around like 4 different framings. One of the framings could be perhaps the history of your marriage topic in whatever country it deals with. For example, if you're talking about, let's say, like polygamy, so having multiple institutionally legal marriage partners, that's what polygamy means. If maybe you can talk about the history of how long certain societies have been polygamous. For example, if you can find that issue on Wikipedia. And then next, you can maybe talk about what does your marriage topic look like today, like in the present era of 2016. What would it be like if you were to get married according to your topic? Like what would it be like to have an arranged marriage, for example, in Pakistan today? What would the process look like? Put me in, their shoes. A third framing that you can mention is the debate maybe about your marriage topic. So obviously, a lot of these issues might be controversial in terms of a global perspective. For example, in the United States, it is not part of our social custom to marry individuals who are under 18 years old. So you'll want to frame maybe why your issue is controversial. And then fourth, maybe another framing is you can talk about the future of your marriage topic. What does the institution of marriage in Bangladesh look like moving forward? What are some of the social issues that they are going to face in the future? For example, if you're talking about marriage in China, what do the population demographics, how will those impact marriages moving forward in the institution of marriage in the future of China, where they have a gender imbalance? So these are all different kinds of framings, and Wikipedia is very useful because it provides different headings about these different issues and stuff. So now let's move on to sources. So I'd recommend reading as much content as possible about your topic on Wikipedia. And whenever you find something that you think like a fact that you want to mention in your speech, you will want to cite it and put it on your Works Cited page. For example, if I want to talk about the recent Supreme Court ruling in 2015, which held that state-level bans on same-sex marriage were unconstitutional, I will go to the types of citations that Wikipedia has for that fact, and I'm going to want to use one of these. So if I zoom in here, you can see this is actually the brief from the Supreme Court itself. So I'm going to click on that citation, and I can go down to here, and I can just copy and paste this into my template. This is going to be one of my sources. So if it's going to be one of my sources, I might open a link in a new tab, and I'm going to read through it later at a different time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this, I'm going to copy and paste it into my 5 sources under the correct category. So now I'm going to find another issue about same-sex marriage in the United States that I'm interested in talking about. So maybe I'll talk about the opposition of same-sex marriage. So let's see. So there are some opponents of same-sex marriage, and they're generally concerned about parenting issues, religion, and basically they think it's going to lead on to some slippery slope in terms of marrying like other things. I mean, it's absurd, but let's perhaps talk. These people exist, so let's see what Wikipedia provides for this. So it looks like in this citation, it is referring to a Stanford article in its philosophy journal about the topic of homosexuality. And in this article, it might be saying something about the, talking about the opposition's philosophy about being against gay marriage. So I'm going to go down to here, and okay, I want to open this in a new tab, and I will read through this later, for example, and just make sure I'm going to confirm that so one good thing about using Wikipedia as a source is that it will take you to other great sources. Like this is a Stanford website, and this is talking about the debates about same-sex marriage. And then even in this source, they will have a number of other sources that are all these are academic books or papers. So okay, so assuming this source checks out, I am going to roll with it and include it in my list of academic journals and books. So it might be a good practice to starting in your speech, make a kind of note of, first. So just making sure you understand what each source is referring to, what point. So like, I might say Orgergefell talks about, or is the citation about the Supreme Court ruling, and just make a note that so you know how you're referring to your sources in your speech. So homosexually this article refers to the opposition side for same-sex marriage. Okay, so this would be a good practice to do. Just include your sources here, and then also make a note in your speech section for what that citation, how you're going to be using it in your speech. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do in this video is talk about Mla citation and how to confirm that the citations you find using Wikipedia, for example, are in fact formatted in MLA. So I will use, let's say, that Stanford source that we just looked up right here. And so I'm going to go on the citation machine that I linked here, and I am going to select, so in this case, the Stanford article would arguably be a journal or a website. I'm going to go with journal for now. And the article title. So it's called Homosexuality. And let's see, does it include any authors? Oh, well, this is great. So sometimes your sources that you'll find will actually have author and citation information for this article. So you can actually see, for example, this is how this article should be cited. See, it does have an author, and their name is Pickett. That's their last name, comma, first name, Brent, the title of the article, the journal that it's from, what edition, the publisher as well, and then the URL that you can find it. So this is going to be the citation we actually want to use, but let's just assume that, I'm going to go back to this page and assume that we're using an example where we don't have the citation info from the source itself. So you're going to want to find as many pieces of information about this source as possible and plug it into all of these things. So we'd have to find out where the author was, and if they were, you're going to put in their names, Joe, last name Smith, and then the journal title was Stanford Encyclopedia of, so I'm just going to say Stanford Journal of Philosophy. And I'm just going to fill this out really quick just to show you how this website works, but you're going to want to make sure that you're filling out as many of these fields as you can find on the website. The date published, and then the online database publication info if you are using a database to find it, and then what else? The URL of the website as well. Okay, and when you click Create Citation, it will create an MLA citation using all the fields that, as many fields as possible as you can find. You might not be able to find all of these fields online. So you can see does last name first, then the name of the article, the journal that it's from, and then that it's a web page. So then you can copy and paste it from here and also put it in your list of citations. So let's just notice, let's compare two things about the Wikipedia citation we just found here, and then the true citation. So this says retrieved on May 8th, 2012. That's because that's when the citation was created on Wikipedia. So oftentimes the Wikipedia citations will not be complete in MLA format. So you're going to want to, you can use the citations on Wikipedia to find the sources, but then you're going to need to do a little bit more investigation to make sure you can find all the missing pieces if there are any. So for example, this is the MLA citation. And then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to show everyone how to do a hanging indent, which is required for MLA citations. So a hanging indent is basically a way to organize your works cited page. So you're going to want to first highlight all of your sources. So let's assume that you also have your 3 article sources down here. So you're going to want to remove this line right there. And then I'm just going to, for the purpose of demonstration, just, copy and paste this. So let's assume these are my 5 sources. So what I'll do is I'll copy my 5 sources, and then what I will do is I will zoom in here to show you that this is how you create your hanging indent. So I highlight all of my sources right here, and it's only just all 5 sources, all next to each other, and they are in alphabetical order. Sorry, that's a huge point. They need to be in alphabetical order by the leading characters. So O precedes P. So for right now, this is in alphabetical order. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to move this triangle by 1/2 inch on the left indent. Okay. And now what I do is I take the rectangle on top, just the rectangle, and I move the rectangle back to the start margin. Okay, so what this does is it creates MLA works cited citation format where the leading line is aligned with everything else on the left margin, and then all of the lower lines that belong to the same source are indented. So this is how you want to format your sources. And again, make sure that these are in alphabetical order. Great. So eventually what we're going to do is once you have all 5 of your sources and I have confirmed that they are in fact good sources and they are in MLA, what we'll end up doing is we'll make a separate works cited page that will essentially just be on a new page right here, and it will be very simple. It will essentially just say works cited, and then it will have all of your sources, and then we'll print this out, and you will hand this in, or on next Wednesday when you do your speech. So now on the topic of speeches. So again, I would recommend trying to include at least like 4 different framings of your issue. Talk about the history, what a marriage would, be like today. Like, put the audience in that space. Let them imagine that they are about to, marry some stranger and the marriage is arranged, for example. Talk about what the ceremony would be like, what they would expect. So some things to refer to in your speech: if you are going to use a fact or a piece of statistics, like 87% of the marriages in India are arranged marriages by both families. So if you're going to say 87%, you want to in your speech say according to the Bureau of Statistics in India, or whatever source you're going to cite. Like, so if I'm going to use the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, let's say according to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, opponents of gay marriage believe X, Y, Z. So in your speech, you're going to want to refer to the source that you're mentioning if you're stating a fact or a figure. Some other rhetorical suggestions I would make, since this is a speech that you're going to be giving in front of the class, is ask questions. Like, present, like, tell your audience to say, imagine it's your 17th birthday and your father walks into your room and informs you that you will be in 2 days, like, married to this person down the street. I mean, obviously try to make it as compelling as possible. but find ways of engaging the audience using certain methods like asking questions and telling people to imagine things. Again, try to at least find 4 categories of ways to structure your speech, talking about the history, what it is like currently, what it'll be like in the future, what are some of the controversies, and that should definitely give you at least 3 to 5 index cards worth of information. So write your speech, try to structure it into topics like history, the ceremony, the controversies, and the future. So these are 4 topics or like ways of framing your topic that will be useful in your speech. Okay, so that's all I have for this video, and I will be in class tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, as well as next Monday and Tuesday to help everyone with their speech. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see everyone later.